essence of gathering here is to, one, appraise the level of the challenges we are facing in Nigeria as young people. If you are not a victim of drugs, you have a relative, a brother, a sister who is a victim. But the fact remains that Nigeria is a victim. For all of us, for most of us who has traveled, I tell you one thing, in Narita Airport in Japan, after I arrived in Tokyo, I spent like 3 hours. Reason because I was a Nigerian. There was nothing they didn't do. They actually, in short, I demand, because in our training, I demanded for water. I said, please, can I have water? Can I drink water? Water was the last thing that if they test this, I demanded, they said, please, I need water. They said cold, I said no, warm. They brought water. When I took water, they now observed for like 30 minutes. I was fine. They said, oh, Mr. Ibe, okay, sorry, government. I said, so that is to understand what we are talking about. So it's not just UNGASS. It's not just young people traveling to Vietnam, traveling to New York for UNGASS. So we must also think about this.
In some Latin American countries, they have what they call crop substitution mechanisms, whereby if you are involved in cultivating these illicit crops, something else is given to you to cultivate, and you are supported because the profits are not going to be the same. So what are your views? What are the views of the Nigerian youth with regards to these areas? Now I'm giving you some, but I want it to come from you, because what I just told you is what I feel. But
also, for me, as I was saying when I introduced myself earlier today, when we talk about drugs and young people being affected by drugs in a continent that has so many needs, we cannot afford to even lose one person. We cannot even afford to lose one asset. Then it becomes political, it becomes social, it becomes psychological, and it becomes cultural as well. Drugs, as I think was said by some other speakers today as well, yes, it's a health problem, but it also borders into political realities, social realities, psychological realities, and cultural considerations.
My name is Ada Bisong Ononye. I'm a reporter with Africa Independent Television and based in Kano. I'm a security correspondent with DAR Communications. The clips you have just seen is just a little of what goes on in the north, and Kano is what I always use as my case study. In the course of the program, I will be discussing on how this drug and substance abuse has aided the activities of insurgency in the north, and I'm going to also talk briefly on how our women, especially the northern women, have become a part of the prevalence in drug and substance abuse. Women, Kano State and neighboring states consume over 3 million bottles of codeine monthly.
Effective legislation or how to rehabilitate drug users. This man here said, I'm a proud Nigerian. I plant corn, rice, yam, cassava, banana and rubber, not marijuana. And it is produced by NDLEA. I want to say if NDLEA is really implementing this, it then means reprimanding drug users in the prison is not the right thing to do. Nigeria has vast of land. We can map out in states some lands where when these drug users are caught, you set them, maybe build like a camp where all of them will be camped with strict security presence. In the morning, they go to plant this, in which the produce will be sold and they will be paid, thereby engaging them in something useful. By the clip we watched, those of them say government abandoned them, they don't have something doing. People like that can also be taken from the streets to such places and make them do the same thing so that they will be useful for themselves and the society.
Go by the statistics of the effect of drugs in the world. But to stop at that, let me just talk about some of the verses in the Holy Quran and some of the hadiths of the Prophet, that's the prophetic teachings that talks about, how to leave drug abuse. How to leave drugs. In fact, Islam has made it totally forbidden. It's not negotiable. When you join in this advocacy, you could challenge your imam, you could challenge your pastor that we need programs like this.
I believe if we want to deal about stopping of drug, we should start from the family setting.
Religious leaders and religious institutions or faith-based organizations have very significant roles to play in addressing not just drug issues, but other social challenges.
A glue used for repairing bicycle tires. How can a human being be consuming that?
Why this summit is coming now is to really address the problems of drugs and substance abuse in our society. You all know that it's been a very big challenge when you talk about drugs and substance abuse. In relation to our young people, Nigerian youths are falling victims as either victims of drug abuse and also victims of illicit trafficking. Most of them are not really informed, and they end up destroying their future. This is exactly what we don't want, and this is exactly what we are trying to avoid by calling them, educating them, making sure that they understand the implications of their actions when it comes to drugs and substance abuse. It's a preparatory summit for the UNGASS in 2016, where the entire world will gather and address the issue of drug problem. So these are some of the things we want to do. U.S. Embassy, they are actually supporting the program.
My task in the task force is to voice and amplify the voices of young people worldwide in this process. So that's where you come into the picture.
By the time we finish, all what we got here will be stepped down. All what we do with this will be stepped down. Will be stepped down. That is the position. All what we do here will be stepped down, and they come from different areas, different states. So it will be taken across the different states, and God will be implemented. But importantly, we want to see great number of Nigerian youths participating in UNGASS come 2016. So we want to encourage our government to also sponsor. It's very, very important.